Embrace the evolutionary shift within you, transcending past limitations to awaken to a new age of higher consciousness. Recognize that your personal transformation is part of a greater cosmic renewal, intertwining your journey with spiritual evolution of humanity. Trust in the divine plan guiding your path.
Mm, I love that. Hello and welcome to Luna and the Druid. Today we will talk about the Judgment card and what the Fool can learn from the card number 20 from Major Arcana in Tarot, the Judgment. We're nearly there. We're nearly towards the
Indeed.
end of this wonderful series. And today, Fool will learn the power of awakening. But
Awakening, yeah.
yes, let's not cut to the chase just yet. Because before we start, let's talk about the Judgment card itself a little bit.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a card that's been like in all tarot decks since the early days, and I brought a few with me,
Mm.
and I know you like to you like to
Oh,
see them.
I love that part of
Oh yeah, yeah, and you have some too as well today.
absolutely, of
Oh,
course.
fabulous, fabulous.
Let's start with you. Oh my goodness, it's interesting what you call a few.
Yeah, and there's the funny thing is there's actually three teams coming. There's the whole top row is the traditional team, where we see even in the oldest tarot decks, Raphael, the angel, blowing the horn, blowing the trumpet to awaken people, to awaken them to their purpose. It's judgment, it's the final judgment, as it's often called in biblical settings. And the final judgment means that's the day of reckoning when all people alive and people from past lives stand up from their graves, and yeah, there will be a reckoning of everything. But of course, the card meaning evolved, and so we have the Tarot de Marseille, we have the Rider Waite Smith, and modern themes. We see no longer the child there, but we see just the couple called to awakening. But still, also they come from deep within the earth. A very lovely card is the Modern Tarot Illuminati, where we have still the same team, the angel blowing the horn, and very modern, the Lumen Tarot, where the angel is replaced by something else. And here we also see just one couple. Um, then the modern, more natural spirit decks, which is Druidic, Wildwood, the Druid Craft Tarot. Um, all these three all represent a reawakening, or a coming back from the dark night of the soul. We see it here. We see this one here and it's represented the dark night of the soul, of course, in the winter solstice. For us, this is now almost half a year away, the winter solstice, and this card represents the child we saw last week on the black horse in the sun card, and here it's called rebirth. So it's being reborn, and of course, we see here on this side uh, a Celtic druid blowing a horn, the hair representing the element of earth. So judgment, final judgment, reawakening, and the Thoth Tarot comes with a totally different theme, where it's actually the start of a new eon, meaning the start of a period. Um, Up till the early 1900s, up to 1904, we were in the area of, or in the era of Osiris, and then we we were hit by the eye of Horus, and uh, uh, from the dark sky we have Nuit here, the goddess in the star card. With Hadith, she gives birth to Horus, and we're now in the age of Horus. So a completely new era, a completely new eon for mankind. So uh, a similar theme in the Tides Tarot, where we see a newborn child again, um, yeah, representing the new era, the new eon. So an interesting development. Three themes: Judgment, Rebirth, New Eon. Love it.
What is interesting to me, the bottom row, could you put the view back again?
Yeah, sure.
Something which I saw as a first thing. The bottom row has the element of like door entrance to a portal, and
Yeah,
I saw it as a door into the womb, because womb represents the consciousness, the feminine energy, as well as awakening. And this is very interesting. How many times that doors to the portal show up on those cards,
yeah.
that modern approach. I don't have any deck on the table which would have a similar image. So that's really interesting. I love that type of approach as well, because the womb consciousness is equal to spiritual awakening, to the enlightenment.
Of
Uh,
course, yeah.
so amazing symbolism on those cards. I have only 6 cards prepared today.
Oh,
Mm, but
bring them on.
I bring the usual set because those are my favorite decks. First of all, will start with the most traditional approach, where we have the trumpet and the couple on the boat. What is really interesting is that the female, the woman there, is covering herself here. Another one would be this beautiful angel spreading the wings.
Wow,
We can see that she's rising.
wow.
Um, and I love the colors which represent the rainbow. Can be also seen as colors of chakras. However, it's not necessarily the ideal colors. Moving on, light seer tarot, and I think
Yep.
that's my favorite image of the judgment card, because we can see the girl um, who is rising and releasing her soul, which to me would represent allowing the soul to speak and guide and lead the way. Osho Tarot, as always, has an interesting approach. This is the Beyond Illusion card, where we see a butterfly, which symbolizes the transformation. There is a massive focus on the third eye chakra, the sixth chakra, which actually Judgment card represents. That's he has the person here has his eyes closed, which suggests that they see through they go within and they connect with their spiritual side. The Star Tarot
Ooh,
has more Native American symbols, with the eagle here, which previously was represented by the angels, the eagle representing that higher perspective. And we have a bird here as well, with 7 stars, because it's a constellation. Yeah, that's very interesting that you have the bird.
the bear, and 7 stars. The great bear
Yeah,
constellation is in the sky, and the cards I
uh,
brought. Yeah,
absolutely. And
solid.
here we have again the rainbow, 7 chakras, also 7 rays as well. We have that element of turning up to the sky, and rising from, like, I see it as an element of earth, the darkness.
Mm,
I love the image of the mountains as well, which represents the spiritual kind of enlightenment again, where we can reach higher, because if the snow is covering peak of the mountains, it is a higher attitude, height, or whatever it's called. And
yeah,
last but not least, very interesting approach, Wake Me Up Tarot, with
yeah, yeah.
those eyes wide open and those self limits being burned. I love this card. Completely different approach, completely different meaning to the judgment card. But I loved it. When I saw it today, I was like, whoa.
Yeah.
So that's it in
And
terms of.
that's so lovely when you're able to work with all these different cards, and even uh, bringing a different deck to a reading is sometimes so enlightening. Sometimes you can even use the what you saw in a different deck in your reading, even though, for instance, you use a normal a more regular deck like the Rider-Waite-Smith or the Marseille. You can use these deeper meanings of reawakening and new era and rebirth in every spread. So working with more decks would probably bring you a wider perspective, a deeper perspective on the card. I love it.
Absolutely. The way it works for me, as you touched on that topic very quickly, when I tap into the energy of client, it's just the deck is calling me the right deck. And usually, because I have a lot of tarot decks which have
Mhm.
completely different images, more classical, but also more modern with a different perspective on the cards. And it always fits the client. It always brings the messages that person needs to hear. So it's never stops amaze me how spirit knows exactly before I even start talking to that client what will be needed.
Yeah.
But going back to the judgment, and the reason I say it is because it's a spirit's good judgment in terms of what will be needed.
It is. It is. Um, yeah, we prepared some topics, and no less than 8 lessons for our journeyman, our hero, our joker, our fool to go through. Shall we walk through the points?
Yes, please.
Okay, here we go. Card number 20, Judgment. First point would be self reflection and accountability. Secondly, forgiveness and release. Three, transformation and rebirth. We saw that already. Four, the higher calling and purpose. Five, integration and wholeness. 6 point, awakening and clarity. Then seven, making final decisions as we are we're approaching the end. And then eight, the spiritual evolution. And I think you already noticed that I used the lovely card from the Lightseers Tarot as the theme of today.
I think it was a best choice because I love this card because it's.
You love it, huh? Yeah, yeah,
Yeah, even though it's so simple, it represents so much of the judgment card.
yeah. Because it's you see her waking up. You see her being reborn into herself. We see a new era
Yeah.
uh, coming to life. So all the other cards are just in this simple image, are captured in this simple image.
Mhm.
It's a deck that I not frequently work with. We have one here in at home, but
We agreed with Jan and also other tarots that it's a very feminine deck.
it
And
is.
I have few tarot lovers or tarot readers who are female, and they absolutely love this deck
They all love it. Yeah,
because it's so girly.
it is girly. Yeah,
But it's just my favorite, and I usually go for this deck when
yeah.
I for clients. Not
And,
always,
ri-
but it's my base.
and rightly so, Luna. Rightly so. So, first point: self-reflection and accountability. What do we make of that?
Well, the fool is learning that actions have consequences, just like the first lesson was with the justice card, but it was
Mhm.
more on the earthly red realms with the physical world. Here we go deeper with that lesson, and the fool is learning to take responsibility for his actions.
Yeah. And would we say that in the classical cards that the consequences would be long term?
That's a good point.
So it's not like instant karma. It's not going to hit you in the face, but you can do something uh, which causes bad karma. someday, and it will get back to you years and years later. That's actually what all the traditional judgment cards actually point to. You know, the final judgment, the final reckoning, an interesting theme of accountability there. But of course, the fool has to learn uh, to reflect in the here and now, where we are
Mhm.
today, and okay, sometimes make amends or make right what you did wrong, or being held yourself accountable for your actions. Yeah.
Yeah, and having that self awareness. After all, life is a result of and a consequence of our choices we make.
Yeah.
And I have a great example of a lesson of self reflection and accountability. If a while ago I mentioned a friend who came back to me after a period of being crossed with me, um, she reflected on whatever happened, and then she came back apologizing and taking responsibility for her part, and we agreed to communicate better in the future, um, and demonstrating that accountability as well.
Wow. Yeah. Yeah. And could you see your own your own faults in the situation? Because there's it's not always that someone is 100% accountable. There were two where to argue. There's two people involved. You know. Could
Yes,
you could you've done things differently as well?
um, I wouldn't, but um,
Sorry to be so in your face.
it's okay. It's okay because the reason why I said I wouldn't is because it's meant to happen like this. It was
Yeah.
supposed to happen like this because I helped her on her awakening journey. So I see that different perspective. I see how my part was important in that process.
Mm.
That's why I said I wouldn't, because if I would, we probably wouldn't be here where we are right now.
Yeah.
However, I reflected on everything. Don't get me wrong. Like I did my part, but I don't regret anything
Oh,
because it was needed.
that's fine. And it's such a lovely bridge to the second point we're making: forgiveness and release.
Mm,
Boom.
yeah.
And of course, when you have to make amends, well, one party or maybe both parties will have to forgive, will have to release. You have to let go of past mistakes and grudges in order to move forward.
Yes. Forgive and let go.
Yeah.
Very
Yeah, and holding on to the grudge will lengthen it, and uh, phew. And sometimes, oh my goodness, I had a medium reading this weekend. So someone read my story. Was
Mhm.
how's it called? Um, an evidential medium, so evidential reading. So the reader gave me a point that they couldn't know, but would hit me in the face. And I have uh, I have something with someone very close to me, uh, a family member, and it's going on for more than 2 years now. And she said that my late mom says, take the first step and make it up. And I've
Mm,
already forgiven, I've already released the grudge. So maybe I should take the first step and may see if the other party is ready to let go. Interesting.
that's a beautiful example. What is really interesting that you mentioned family amends, because when I was thinking, reminiscing on those points, that's exactly the point, an example of the real life scenarios and situation I was going to bring, where with the grudges between family members. So it's interesting that you mentioned that as well.
Yeah, yeah. Our next point.
Mhm.
I'll make this a bit bigger.
Transformation and rebirth.
Wow, there we have it. Transformation and rebirth.
And we get to the juicy stuff, juicy part
Boom.
of judgment.
And how juicy they are.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's association with resurrection and transformation. You understand that every ending leads to a new beginning
Mm,
and significant changes, even in life. We always talk about the life phases, and every life phase ends with a death and a rebirth. So the changes are part of life, and of course we also see it in the midwinter card of the Great Bear, where the sky is dark, the nights are long, the the earth is barren, and nature needs to be reborn again. So
mm,
it's a process that's universal. It's individual, but also universal.
mm. Yeah. Well, the process of transformation can be seen through so many perspectives and through so many angles. Um, but I think that whatever needs to die, whatever we need to let go of, is so we would make space for the new to come. And I love the example of Mother Nature you gave. Gave cycles of nature. Sorry, apology.
The wheel of year.
Um, yeah, wheel of year. That's exactly what it is. But even the moon cycle, the hormonal cycles within the woman, those are beautiful examples, um, as well as somebody who's going through tough experiences, let's say addictions, and then when they come onto the other side of it, and when they um, do something about it, when they don't want to be controlled by something they have no control over, like habit, let's say alcohol, after a while they can look back at the past and see it as a catalyst for a new transformation and for the new life to emerge, like a
Yeah,
fresh start.
yeah, yeah, and of course, these times where you go through these dark periods, they lead to rebirth and they lead to transformation and they lead to a greater awareness,
Yeah, Dark Night
a
of the
greater
Soul.
awareness,
Another
and that's when we get to our next point: the higher calling and purpose. And of course, that's the traditional card where Raphael, the angel, one of the archangels, blows the trumpet and uh, calls us to be awakened and to be reawakened, and not as zombies, but as awakened people, as transformed personalities. Yeah,
Yeah, it's interesting that on those cards, images of people are usually without clothes, which represent that innocence, that purity, that stripping what's earthly, because we are being born to this world with nothing and we go back leaving everything and taking nothing as well.
yeah,
But the learnings, experiences.
yeah. And so the lesson of the fool in this perspective would be to align your actions with your higher purpose, and even if you don't know it yet, um, think about it, go inside, bring in the hermit when necessary. We all these archetypes we went through in the journey, there are lessons there, to guide you there to this higher calling and to this purpose and to finding purpose and passion in your life, in
Mm.
order to make this your masterpiece, because that's the goal of it. That's the only purpose.
Very often, we find our purpose after going through a major and tough experience within our life. And all of a sudden, when we go and when we reach the other side and when we go through that experience, many times we can discover that that's what we want to do, to help others to go through that experience as well, because as humans we are kind, we are loving, we don't want others to suffer. So again, those tough and hard experiences usually work as a catalyst to
Yeah.
not also help us to grow, but also to find our purpose, find our
Yeah.
mission. My friend always says, find your mission, find your life.
Find your mission, find your life. I love
I
it.
love that. Yeah.
So, what do we have next? Integration and wholeness. And yeah, of course, that's where all the lessons learned um, are lead to a holistic purpose, lead to a holistic approach to life, where all the elements. And of course, I see you do that as well. You have changed a lot of habits, like complete change of food in food intake in your life, the way you approach the outside world, the animal world, uh, integrating that in your life, and yeah, good job.
What Jan means by that is me million years ago becoming vegetarian, and then it led from being vegetarian to vegan, and having that as my main value in life, doing no harm and living through those principles of vegan life, which for many people can be very strict, but I'm
Yeah,
thriving.
yeah, and I see you you express it as it's a part of your completion, a part of your wholeness. It's a part of your being. It's where you integrate what your life's purpose is and what your passion is and what you think is important in life, and probably even has to be dealt with from previous lives. So you never know where it comes from.
Yeah, well, I actually do because I did the regression, which showed me and explained why it is so important for me.
All right.
But thank you for acknowledging it. That means the world to me.
Well, I'm happy to have that as my as my integration and my purpose, to acknowledge that in other people, and learn from it, maybe a
Mm.
little, step by step.
My neighbor, after being my neighbor for a while, he transferred. He was vegetarian, but he transferred into vegan as well. He got into that lifestyle.
Yep.
So
Spread the word.
yeah,
Spread the word.
yeah, big
Yeah.
enough, baby.
Which
Move
brings
on.
us, Luna, to our next point.
Yeah. Awakening and clarity, which is another beautiful lesson the fool learns from the judgment card.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's all about consciousness and awareness. It's all about opening the third eye and seeing things through a higher perspective.
Yeah. Yeah. What you get when you really awaken to, yeah, to a new earth, or to the new consciousness. Um, a few things become clear in life. There's a silence, a stillness under everything. Even in the loudest noise, you can you can see and feel a stillness. You can feel something there, and from within the stillness, you can go deep, deep within and find the soul. We're ruled by the brain. We hope to be steered by the heart, but in the belly is our yeah, higher self, or even on top of the crown chakra, wherever it resides, the deeper soul, the true self, the higher self. And of course, that's when you discover the part that's eternal. That's the part that returns home after this journey, and the part that becomes part of the Akashic records and the history of mankind and the history of the universe and everything. Yeah.
I often see that in people who experience burnout, especially in a corporate world, where they get to the point that they see meaningless of their life and they want to change that. And on the massive scale, it happened in 2020 when all of a sudden people were forced to look at their life from a different perspective because they were taking from the everyday life and putting into technically a new environment. And how many new businesses emerged from that? People quit 9 to 5 job and started to live life from their heart, which was absolutely beautiful to observe, even though the journey through it wasn't as light and as um, it was tough time. Actually, it was time full of fear, but what came out of it for humanity is just amazing, because we awakened more. We discovered new ways of doing things we used to be doing in a certain way before.
Yeah, yeah. And that's of course that's the whole thing that happens when you awaken spiritually. When
Mm.
you go through the dark night, you always bounce back and come up a new person, clear, understanding, and maybe more resilient to the adventures and the stuff that life throws at us.
It's funny that I mentioned 2020 because 2020 is a clear vision.
Boom.
Mm.
So we have one before last, point seven, making the final decisions. And of course, that's also one that's very much in preparation for the final judgment. You know, before being awakened from the dead or being awakened from the previous lives. Um, you have to make, like they said, the people with the burnout or the people in the corporations, they feel the necessity, they feel the need to make an impactful change, an impactful decision in their life.
Mhm. That good example of it would be from one of the people in my close environment, one of my friends. Um, she was contemplating on her marriage for a long time because she felt that misalignment with her husband. And yesterday we had a conversation that she actually made her final decision is to take part from the marriage and just move into her own direction. And even though it seems a negative example, this is the new chapter. This is the opportunity for her to start new, fresh life where she can be aligned with who she really is, because that's the major issue in that relationship. And very often it happens in relationships that something which before was working great all of a sudden changes because people discover different meaning in their lives. They start to have different values, which not necessary can be can co-create a healthy relationship any longer.
Yeah, well, I can totally relate to that. I've been to a similar a similar process, also with with a long uh,
I said, me too.
a long road ahead. You know, a long time of um, there these are decisions that, and especially when they influence someone else, you're not supposed to take them lightly. That's also a part of your responsibility of the steps you took before. And um, and if you want to change things there, yeah, and it inflicts changes in other people, and you have to do this consciously, full of love and full of self-love also. That's very important. But yeah,
Mhm.
sometimes it just has to be done.
Yeah, I always say if something's meant to last, it will last no matter what.
That's
But people sometimes come for our life's journey, but sometimes they join us just for a certain period of time or certain lessons,
yeah.
to teach us and to learn from. And when that's done, they're free to move in their own direction onto the new lessons.
Yes, of course.
Mhm.
Then we get to our final point, the spiritual evolution.
Mm. Yeah, well, Judgment, I believe, is the most spiritual card of all.
Yeah, I
Um,
think so.
it literally is about spirituality and spiritual awakening.
Yeah. Yeah, so it's not just physical, it's not emotional, it's a quest of the heart, it's a quest of
Mhm.
spirit, a quest of the soul, a soul journey to, yeah, to conduct your to discover um, even how you as a person in one life can evolve. You know, there's an evolution going in your life. It's not all. Uh, not. It doesn't always come with a bang. It often comes step by step by step, and uh, sometimes a lot of baby steps and then a bang, or a deep jump into the abyss. And yeah, and that's part of your evolution and your connection with the higher self, with spirit, with the divine, with whatever you call it.
And your own divine essence, because spirituality at the end of the day is about connecting with yourself, with
It
your
is.
the divine spark which is within you, because we need to realize that we're not just a body and that's it. We're energy. We're divine spark, the divine intelligence which lives within us, and we need to learn how to connect with it.
That's so true. That's
Yeah,
so
and
true.
actually, we had a lovely conversation which on last Monday during our live about spiritual awakening. I recommend rewatching it if you haven't already, where we talk about stages of awakening and we talk about elements of that. And the next part, which will continue from where we finished that conversation, will happen next Monday.
Yeah. So there will be a spiritual awakening part one and a spiritual awakening video part two. And like
Don't be
Luna said,
joking.
highly recommended. And as far as the fool's quest, the fool's journey goes, Luna, we have one card to go. One
Mm.
card to go next week. The world or the universe or whatever we call it. And the series will come to an end just before the summer solstice and
Mm.
just before we take a bit of a summer break for the midweek videos and the longest day.
Yes.
And
Implementing all the learnings, all implementing all the lessons through the fool's journey. Um,
yeah,
I had a reading on Sunday and the judgment card came out. And I was thinking to myself, oh my goodness, why it came out today, not just after that series, because I love the Fool's Journey because it deepens my knowledge and my understanding of the Fool's Journey and the card itself.
yeah,
Um, because what I love about talking to you is that we both bring something to the table, and
yeah.
I learn something from you, and I hope I inspire you and show you a different perspective you haven't thought.
It's a two-way street, Luna. It's a two-way street, and new perspectives, new methods, and yeah,
New
we
tarot
both
decks show different aspects
yeah,
as well.
yeah. And we learn yeah, I think what I got in this, especially in this series so far, that all these cards most a lot of these cards represents archetypes,
Mhm.
and um, I noticed that all these cards on one way or another will each and every one of them will show up in some stage in your life, and it doesn't it's not altogether all at once, but through life all of them in different and all their different meanings, sometimes nuanced differences like between death and the tower and stuff like that, there are these nuances that, but you will encounter them all in our lives.
Yeah, because the fool's journey doesn't happen just once. That we start as a fool and we end up at the world and that's it. No, it's a cycle, and
Yeah, it's a
the fool's
cycle, and
journey sometimes it may skip one or two steps, two lessons at this particular time, but it cycles back and forth, just like the universal energy.
phew.
Right. Yeah.
And with that, dear viewers and dear Luna, we have come to the end of the 20th card, Judgment. And I'm looking forward to the next and to
Mhm.
bringing it all together in the next episode. And see you later.
Thank you.
Bye, all.